seats. Oh guys, it's so amazing to have all of you here. Are you tired, Drew? Are you tired? So how's Dortmund treating you? Are you guys okay? Are you enjoying the con?
Very much so.
Yeah.
I missed that. I loved it. I've got to say, you lot are fantastic. I know the 2 days that you've been here, you've been absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much for having us. Also, because you put us all back together again.
Yes.
So thank you.
Sure.
Feeling done.
Let's do it again in Munich. Where is the next one?
I'll ask 2 questions, like one for Robin and the rest, one for all of you. So the question for Robin is, what's a bonsai tree? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I was like, is this a riddle?
No. I just wondered whether Gabe ever got an answer to that question. No, my question is actually a hypothetical because it's concerned with Paul Rubens, who played your dad.
Yes.
So I always wondered whether Oswald, if he hadn't been brainwashed by Hugo Strange and was still his old self, do you think he would have reacted differently upon meeting his dad?
I think he would have, yes, I think he would have reacted initially differently, but I think that desire to be loved and to have actual real affection would have emerged anyway. You know, I think, like, you know, that's what, that's all he really wanted deep down, I think. And yeah, I think he would have still really cherished that connection and being able to meet his father. And yeah, totally.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you please tell us a bit more what's coming up for you in the future, future projects, what we can see from each of you, please?
I'm on a show called You right now, which is on Netflix. It's a 2nd season. And yeah, thank you. It's really good. I play a really nice person, which is a welcome change, let me tell you.
I'm doing a movie called Dummy with Anna Kendrick, where I have a sex doll. And then I think I might do Law and Order. Maybe.
I just came from Chicago, did a little Dick Wolf myself, Chicago PD. That's really weird. And then a movie called Ted K. I hope it comes out at the end of this year, maybe next year, about the Unabomber. It was just fun.
I'm doing more directing, so I'll be hopefully directing a TV show called God Friended Me, and writing a movie that I want to shoot next year.
Well done. I heard on Friday, actually, there's a director called Neil Marshall, who did Game of Thrones, and I've done a couple of movies with him, Descent and Dog Soldiers. And there's another actor, a friend of mine called Matt Ryan, who is Constantine, and he's put together sort of a few of the other actors from the other movies that we've made together, and it's called The Reckoning, and it's about the ghastly things people used to do to supposed witches during the Black Plague. And it's kind of deep and heavy, so it's a bit like Jacob's Laddery. So I hope all goes according to plan. We start shooting in June. It's you.
And I'm the new acting Secretary of State on Madam Secretary.
Yeah. So Condoleezza, eat your heart out. It's an American thing, sorry.
I know that Chris Chalk, who plays Lucius Fox, and I always wanted Barbara and Lucius to have some like little fling. It would have been fun. Yeah, little fling.
I always wanted to see the part of Selina where she was in the orphanage. Whether they hired like a younger actor to play her or not, I just was always interested in that part of Selina's life that she didn't get to show the audience. So I always wanted that, and I think I brought it to the writers a few times, and they were just like, thank you, but...
Thank you, next.
Yeah.
To answer your first question, I would love to see Butch in the comics. I think he would be a great addition to for some printed comics somewhere?
I just wish that I had more umbrella toys. that was one thing that I wish we had gotten to, but c'est la vie.
I'm happy with what we got and what we gave, and you know what I mean. It was perfect. 100 episodes, and it felt really right. Yeah. And if we didn't, like we said yesterday, someone asked that question, and by the way, thank you for the candy, right? But if we could do these characters in another show or something, and I don't think if we didn't do these with each other, we wouldn't do them at all.
Hi again. Oh, sorry. I have two questions, if that's all right. First of all, I wanted to ask what everyone's favorite story arc was, either your own character or just in general on the show.
For me, it was Spirit of the Goat. It was me and Dix in seasons 1 and 5. And then, I don't know. You know what? They were all so beautiful. Whether it's Bruce and Selina, or Bruce and Alfred. But my favorite moments of the show were when Robin and Corey were together, playing piano.
I mean, again, everybody was so fabulous, and I love the storylines. What's jumping out to me is, I just really want to give it up for Erin Richards for having created this character and changed so dramatically and really made Barbara a presence that needed to be heard, and that's one of my favorite things that happened on our show. And then personally for Penguin, my favorite would probably be, there's so many, but I mean it's kind of it's not pleasant to think about now, but like when Penguin was running for mayor, and we had an episode where his styling was influenced by a certain politician who shall remain nameless, and that was fun.
I mean, I think we're probably not going to all answer every question, just so we can get to more of your questions. I think we're going to. Did you have another question?
Oh yeah, I have one more for Robin, if that's okay. I think in an interview. Oh, okay.
I've got the mic.
No, I wanted to ask. I think in an interview about season 5, you said that we're basically going to see Penguin as like a heartless monster, and I'm wondering if we're watching the same show, because I think Penguin is really like sweet and warm. Like, I mean, he has his moments, of course. But,
yo, did you see what he did to me?
That's in season 4, that's not the same season.
Sorry.
No, but like with the preview coming up, I think he talked a little bit about like listening to your heart, so I'm wondering like which part you thought was him being a monster.
I mean, you know, things change, like, you know, you have, I probably said that before when we were shooting the rest of the season, and obviously things change, but you know, really, like, I think you just wait for the finale. I'll say that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys so much. Thanks.
Well, I mean, the entirety, I've got to be honest, I'm really old, and I've been doing this for about 30 years, and you've heard this probably many times from many different companies, but to have a family, not just the cast, which are exemplary and beautiful people, but our crew, to be involved in something like that where there was so much love, and when we were waiting often after each season would end, we were never actually given a definitive yes or no if we're going to continue. A lot of our young crew members stayed and turned jobs down, and they were on minimum wage and stuff, and they waited because they wanted to see this show through. So what I really remember, what I always will remember, was these lovely, beautiful people will be friends for the rest of my life.
The one thing I will say is that whenever we had scenes when we were all together, and that was kind of rare, we had a lot of fun. Whether we were singing or goofing, like whenever those happened were the best days.
And we always drove the PAs crazy on those days. PA stands for production assistant, and they're interns. And literally, we would always, like, when they would tell us it was time to come to set, we'd be like, no. And when it's a group of people and the entire scene is filled with every character, they get in trouble if nobody's on set. So those are always fun too because of that. I just remember the last day of filming. It wasn't the last. It was the last produced episode, which was the one that Erin directed and Ben wrote. And I just remember, like, I purposely didn't go through all the sets because I would just be really sad if I was just like, oh, goodbye set, goodbye set, goodbye set. But I was just standing, like, almost underneath the gargoyle on the GCPD, and I was just looking at everyone talk story and drink champagne or apple cider, whatever people were drinking, and it was just like this moment where it was the kind of the beginning of an end, but it didn't feel sad. I didn't feel sad. It was more so like it was almost contentment in a way, and it was like, okay, like, it's done. We worked our booties off, and we did a really good job. Like, here it goes. So that was my favorite memory.
Thank you.
I mean, if you remember one.
I've always loved I'm Not Crazy, I'm Free.
There are two types of people on this planet, them you can trust and them you can't.
Oh yeah, I have one right here. Big pillow belly. One that's always stuck out to me is, well, the best liars always tell the truth, and look after number one, and that's you. And I think as far as Selina goes, the latter quote speaks volumes toward her character.
You best not talk about my mama.
In season 1, Fish says, we're in the bar, and Fish says something like, I'm gonna catch that thing guy and skin him like a whatever. And this line, I don't think anybody remembers it, but I loved it. And Butch says to Fish, and I'll be there holding your shoes.
Mine would be, it's actually, I believe it's a quote from Helen Keller, and she said, let me make sure I get this right. Walking with a friend in the dark, walking with a friend in the dark is better than walking alone in the light, and I think that very much speaks to our film.
Maybe there was some scene where they said, Jim Gordon says to me, like, you should be ashamed or something. And I just said, I haven't been ashamed since I was 12 years old. I'm going to let you compete.
Thank you.
Was the thing about your code,
Do you mean of the last script? Or just in general? Yeah.
That I was gonna die. Yes, they call you and tell you before it's in the script.
The hardest scene for me, it actually took me like 3 days to finish reading the scene because it was just too traumatic, was the first episode of season 5. I mean, it's a spoiler, but Selina attempts suicide. So that took me a few days to get through. Yeah. But it turned out to be a great scene for what it was. So.
Actually, that's a very good question. I think one of the weirdest moments that people were really quite horrified by, including myself, is when I actually slapped the snot out of Cam here, because that was the toned down version when I hit a child. But for some reason, Bruno is insistent on this scene happening, and it's because there's a symbiosis between Kat and Alfred, that they both come from the streets, and she said, if you want to wear big boy trousers, this is what happens. So it was in a very negative, but in a way a positive thing. But believe you me, that was not an enjoyable thing to have to do to my darling friend here.
And for me, it was Tabitha's Zach. Oops, sorry if that's a spoiler. Sorry, I'm sure some of you know already, but there's a death and it's involving someone who I really liked working with. And yeah, it was really hard because we'd worked together for so long, worked really close together, and she's fantastic. And yeah, it sucks, but that has to happen sometimes. So, and she's doing very well now. She's exec producing her own show in Canada. So.
For me, it would be anytime I had to kill off another character. It just
all the time.
No, I lost count, and yeah, it's just hard because I was a struggling actor for many years, and you're ending someone's journey on the show, and it just and then so many of those actors, it's back to the drawing board, and it's a really hard thing to do, and I really didn't enjoy that, but it had to happen. Yeah.
To me, I don't know if you'll understand this in Dortmund, you might not, but anytime the call sheet said Staten Island or Yonkers.
That's a very insult.
Or anytime it was so cold. I just think of 5 years of it was cold.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I have a question for all of you. Which actor or actress inspired you to become an actor yourself?
Okay, so do you have any actors or actress that inspired you to pursue a career in acting?
I had a friend that I met when I was in high school, and he was on the Cosby Show, and he was the only real actor, professional actor I'd ever met, and he was his name was William Thomas. And he was about the only person I knew when I came to LA, and he was a real mentor for me. And that was a big deal back then. That was the big show, and he really helped me a lot and inspired me to know that not to be an actor was innate, but how do you make a career out of it? How do you, especially in LA, how does that work? And he helped me a lot.
There's been so many actors and actresses over the years, but I just remember that when I was really young, I used to watch Happy Days, and one of the actresses, the girl with the brown hair, who was the sister, I think, her name was
Erin Richards.
Yeah, her name was Erin, and I would see Erin come up on the TV for the first time in my life, and I'd be like, oh my god, that's possible, that could be me, that could be my name up there. So that was always the earliest memory of connecting myself to possibly the TV and being part of the show.
Exactly like Erin said, there's so many, but I never thought that I'd ever see your name come up on a movie screen, and that was the biggest moment. But to work with Gary Oldman, the day that I left drama school, and he taught me where to stand, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But to work with my hero at the time, which was Gary, but also people like Peter Ustinov and Charles Lawton, and these because I was a film buff when I was a kid, and I always loved that about people like Peter Ustinov could play such a gamut of roles, and forgetting about body dysmorphia or anything like that, which is the talent and the exuberance of these people. They were the ones that really inspired me, like Lawton, and like I said, Peter Ustinov.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It looks amazing, and it's always great to see a Batman show or a Batman-related movie or television show that actually is shot in New York City. And that movie, because there's just an authenticity there that I really respond to. So I'm super excited, and Joaquin Phoenix is fantastic. Yeah, super star.
What's cool with that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally. We had a good arc. We really did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you all for being here and for the fantastic work you did in Gotham. And two questions for me. Who of you would say he's the biggest fan of comic books?
David. By far.
Okay. And one question to Sean Pertwee. Will we have a chance to see you in the upcoming Pennyworth series? Maybe in, as the older elf a little bit later?
No, it was like no, they went for a younger, more improved version.
Achtung, Achtung, eine Durchsage für all diejenigen, die noch ein Autogramm von Charlie Sheen bekommen möchten, bitte jetzt anstellen, denn er wird jetzt
What the heck was that? Charlie Sheen, okay, we get it. Jeez.
We're in Gotham City here. Come on.
Bruno, with great excitement, announced it to Robin and I on the last day of season 4. He said, "Oh, there's a we're doing a spin-off from Pennyworth." I was like, "Great, when did we start?" He said, "You're too old." So I said, "But should I give you Fraggle Rock?" I go, "I remember the time when I was doing this." And no, absolutely not. But in answer to that very quickly, actually, that it is, I am in a way deeply flattered because I maybe have had some part in piquing people's interest in a character that was just considered sort of a dusty old gentleman. So it beats an interest.
Attention please. Attention please. This is the last call for autographs for Charlie Sheen. He will be leaving soon. If you would like Charlie Sheen's autograph, please go to the
Guys, I'm really sorry about that.
If you leave right now to go take a picture with Charlie Sheen, so help me, I will find you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Anybody have a question for Charlie Sheen?
Your favorite baby, I think.
I always loved Harvey, and I always loved getting to work with Donal because the two, Selina and Harvey, are just, they're very different, but they're so similar at the same time. And I was always laughing between takes to the point where I think at one point I had hiccups while we were trying to film because Donal just made me laugh all the time. But yeah, I'd say Harvey. I think Harvey's underrated in a lot of ways. In the Gotham world, not Donal, but because Donal's amazing. But, well, that's what you know what, whatever. All I'm saying is Harvey doesn't get enough credit, and I really love his character and what Donal did with it.
Yeah, I think Harvey. Fun fact, I auditioned to play Harvey first. Yeah, I did. Yeah. And they said, listen, that was great, but it's going to a much more handsome, accomplished actor.
I'll say this weird behind the scenes stuff. In October of the year before we started shooting, I met with Bruno, and he said, "I want you to do this show, Gotham, as Harvey Bullock." And I said, yes. So it was done. And then there was an internet rumor that I was Jim Gordon. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, but it wasn't. The rumor was they saw me come out of the office and know that I said yes. So this is weird. I don't know why they're auditioning for it.
I don't know. Maybe that's just
because I couldn't do other jobs because I had promised. Well, they're auditioning behind me.
Life of an actor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Her question is, what was your favorite scene between Ed and Oswald?
I'm not going to. I want you all to watch the last 2 episodes of season 5 whenever you can. There is a beautiful scene that was actually added after we had wrapped the second to the last episode, and it's just this really beautiful scene between Corey and I. And in this one scene, you see all of the dynamics between the two of them playing out, and it really brings it all to a beautiful conclusion. So episode 11 of season 5. There's a scene in there. You'll know which one.
Thank you.
Something to look forward to. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess one of the biggest challenges for me with Barbara was that there wasn't a lot of information about her in the comics, you know, so I was kind of coming up with someone new, which was wonderful, but had different challenges to, I guess, other people who were challenged by the fact that they were having to reinvent people that already existed. So yeah, it was that, but it was a joyous challenge, like a really one that I enjoyed.
I'll say with Grundy, there was first of all, we're doing this monster on a TV budget, and people are used to seeing Solomon Grundy either as a video game computer-generated character or an animated character, or they're used to seeing these characters like, I was working out at the time because they said, hey, you're going to be naked on TV, so I figured I better lift some weights. And I was working out with David Harbour, who's doing Hellboy, and this son of a gun got to put on a silicone suit every day and look like he was super ripped and, my monster, and, I didn't. But the other part of it is because I have a new appreciation for comic book fans and how much y'all know about your stuff, is that there was a real sense that if we screwed this up, especially a character that's been around since 1944, if we screwed this up, we would never hear the end of it, and I would be a laughingstock of the world. So we worked really hard to get it as good as we could get it for what we had, and but we paid a lot of attention to the details because of you guys, for sure.
I want to say something specific. Kind of what Drew said in terms of like doing something new with a character that's been around for a long time, and this community is a very opinionated community. Not this one specifically, but I'm just saying, like, the comic book world. But on top of that, I want to speak specifically. I think one of the hardest things for me was when Penguin developed some romantic feelings for Enigma. Seeing the disgusting homophobia that is out there in the world and seeing it firsthand and seeing all of that again was really disheartening and sad. But again, at the same time, it was motivation for me to put 10 times, a million times more positivity out there. And so, and also to be out of the closet and to be proud and to not be afraid. I think that was a big challenge for me.
I love how much, without ever being a polemic or Gotham was this agent for beautiful change. You know what I mean? We're so proud of this show, and we thank you guys so much. We won't have a chance maybe to get, or if we don't come back to Dortmund or whatever, but it's just your investment in the show, all of the conversations we've had with all of you at the booths, and how much you care and how much it means so much. It humbles us so much to know that in New York we're working on a soundstage somewhere, and then across the world someone's going to see it and remember the lines and care about it. Thank you so much.
Say something and then I won't, and then I'll regret it for the rest of my life for like 5 minutes. To answer your question, the hardest part for me with the evolution of Selina was actually with this 5th season. The terrifying part of it was that I related to it more than ever, and so I had to really commit to being vulnerable and in a way that I hadn't before. So it took a lot more energy for me this season because I really wanted to just be completely bare and pure with it. So that was the hardest part for me, was being Camren in the scenes rather than Selina. But yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You did a great job.
To be honest, the thing is that so much funny stuff does happen, always on sets and things like that, but the thing is about the standard of acting, the standard of the cinematography was so paramount that you came with your A game, and the thing was, you didn't really want to be the person to kind of screw up. This is what I found. We would be messing around backstage and everything like that, but when we were on set, it was amazing because you still, for 5 years, still I used to get those butterflies because you wanted to nail it because these guys are so bloody good. Seriously, I mean it. So I was always quite straight. This madam actually, by the way, that's a laugh.
Oh yeah, I was always laughing. I was the one where people were like, dude, can you shut up? And I'm like, excuse me, I'm a human being. This one's funny. I'm not gonna not laugh because you're uncomfortable. No, like, let me laugh. Let me live.
Let me live my life.
Live your life. But it was always annoying if I had the hiccups. And it would always happen, like, because when you're doing really intense scenes, whether it's a fight scene or anything, you're either doing your best to relax or doing your best to help your partner feel at ease between the takes so that the energy isn't down while you have to do these intense scenes. And so the days that I remember being really intense, whether like fatigue or whatever, like I was laughing the most between takes. And so I'm in these serious scenes and I have the hiccups. And it's like I'm having to pour my heart out when I have these hiccups. Yeah, it wasn't good. I annoyed a lot of directors, but whatever. They were only there for 10 days, whereas we were there for 5 years, so.
You remember Barbara, Erin, in season 1, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. In season 1, Butch holds Barbara hostage in her apartment, and he's super creepy, and he's all in her face. And when we shot that scene, I don't know what you ate. It was like onions or garlic. And I would get in her face, and it was like eye-watering, which I thought was brilliant, because it was really like, she put up a wall, and I remember being like, I gotta fight through this. Like, yeah, but you like criminals, don't you? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It was brilliant. I always assumed you did that on purpose, like, which I thought was brilliant.
I had this amazing ability to always eat something like salmon or onions before every kissing scene that I had. And I'd be like, I'd get there and I'd get up to like Ben, or it was usually Ben or Jess, and I'd be like, oh God, I've done it again, I'm so sorry. Maybe it wasn't all.